Type 11. Mr. Andrews. Type 11. Okay. Who else is a consultant? Okay. So I'm assuming that others don't want to talk to. Others don't want to expose their identity, and it's okay. So, okay, Mr. Ridwan is also a consultant. Ms. Muchu, Mr. Andres. Okay. All right. Now, okay, so Olugbenga said consultant in embryo. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being a consultant in an embryo. Okay. All right. So let's move forward and move very fast. Now, one of the challenges most of us see in consulting is the issue of ethics in consulting. That's one of the major challenges we face in consulting. One of the major challenges we face in consulting. Ethics in consulting. And then due to poor corporate governance across the nations of the earth, most people feel unethical consulting is the way it's supposed to be. So this training is not to place any hammer upon anyone, but to expose us to what the need for ethical consulting. Okay, ethical consulting is not a branch of consulting; rather, it is a domain that every consultant needs to have. Okay, it is a domain, is an aspect of consulting competencies that a consultant need to have. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to run through it very fast. In the learning objective, please kindly confirm that you can see my screen. Please kindly confirm that you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 in the chat room. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 in the chat room. If you can see my screen, please kindly type, okay. All right, thank you so much. So in the learning objectives, we're going to review what ethical consulting and sustainability are all about. And then we're going to emphasize on the need for ethical consulting and sustainability. And then we elaborate on ethical decision-making tools and models. And then we highlight the challenges and solutions to ethical consulting. We're going to create room for further discussions on this ethical consulting, because we will look at the future of ethical consulting and future trends in ethical consulting. Anytime you hear the word ethical consulting, is more of trying to imbibe corporate governance in consulting, the principles of corporate governance in consulting. And more importantly, we've chosen that of sustainability. So we are looking at ethical consulting and then looking at its relationship or the interconnectivity between ethical consulting and sustainability, right? So those are the things we are going to be looking at in this discussion. All right, by introduction, we understand that there is a growing need for sustainability in the business landscape today. There is a growing need for sustainability. People and organizations are taking cognizance of the impact of their businesses to the environment, to the social fair, and to communities, okay? So to culture, okay, so how does consulting play a role in promoting sustainability and promoting healthy business within the business environment, okay, and within communities? So how do we engage favorably and positively with stakeholders so that our businesses do not produce negative effects in the general business landscape? So how do we get to have that? That is where ethical consulting comes to play. So ethical consulting tries to help us to make sure that our business operations are favorable to the environment. They are favorable to the political, the social, the technological, the cultural, and every part of business composition, every part of the business environment composition. So that is very, very important. Okay, that is very, very important. And we also understand that one of the fastest growing industry today is the consulting industry. So virtually every business has consultant, be it an internal consultant or an external consultant. Now, whether you are a consultant internally that's recruited within an organization, or you are an external consultant that provides you services to different organizations, it is important for us to understand our role as consultants in driving ethical principles in businesses. Okay, that is just primarily what we want to have here. What is your role in driving ethical principles? Ethical principles. Okay, I'm not just talking about ethics, and I'm not talking about codes of ethics, because when I talk about ethics and codes of ethics, they could be perspectival, they could be relative, right? But we want to look at moral. Okay, let me use the word moral. Okay, so what is generally acceptable as ethical standards of doing business? Okay, so we as consultants need to understand those things, so that when we consult for industries, consult for organizations, we should be able to put them in the right path. Okay, now I'm going to give us some basic case studies that we've experienced. Now, and I'm sure we're not the only ones who have experienced this. Okay, and if you've never experienced this as a consultant, just know that one day you will experience it. Now, I don't know how many of us have come to that point where an organization calls you to consult for them, but at the long run, maybe the head of department that there is outsourcing that consulting engagement, then calls you to a corner. This consulting might be for maybe 50 million naira, or let's say 50 million cedis, or 50 million dollars, whatever case it might be. And then this person, there is the head of department through which you are being contracted to consult for the organization, calls you and tells you, okay, this consulting is 50 million. Okay, so what I want you to do is make this 100 million. You give us 50 million and you keep 50 million for your work. If you've never experienced that before, I'm not going to pray that you don't experience it, because it is part of the experience that you get to have as a consultant. So will you consider that ethical or unethical? That is one. Now, you also see consulting engagement. Let's take, for instance, training as a case. You have been contracted to handle management development consulting for a firm, and maybe this is supposed to last for 10 days, or let's say 5 days. And then this group of people that have been assigned to you or to your organization come to you and say, okay, this consulting engagement is for 500 million for a duration of 5 days. Now, what we want to do is for you to just take 1 day for the class, take another day to give us certificates. The remaining 3 days, don't ask us what we're doing with the time, but make sure that in your reporting, you report that the training was conducted for 5 days. Now, the question is this ethical or unethical? As a consulting professional, you could have been faced with that issue of, our statement of account is reading so amount. Now, we don't want to pay tax. We want to elude tax. How can you work this so that our statement of account do not reflect in such a way that we'll have to pay tax? These are some of the ethical concerns that we face. Now, you also have to face the concerns of compliance. Some of us are consultants, but we never want to be recognized by government. We don't want to be recognized. So you don't want to register your business. And even those that have registered their consulting businesses, they don't want to pay tax. They don't want to follow regulatory compliance. These are unethical. Okay? So the questions we are dealing with here are concerns that will awaken our morality towards doing business. Okay? Now, let it not be that you get to the point in business that you are dead to conscience. Never you get to that point in doing business that you're dead to conscience. I will not say, if I use Nigeria as a case study, I will not say categorically that that's the problem of government today. But I have come to conclusion that most of our leaders are unethical. They conduct their leadership affairs in unethical ways. And let me tell you something. There is a saying that whatever seed a man sows, that is what he will reap. Whatsoever problem a country is facing, it is a product, it is an output of the behaviors of the leaders, either currently or in times past. For instance, in Nigeria, we face insecurity. It is not, we are looking at the people who are currently involved in insecurity, but they are not the problem. The problem is from the people who pushed them to becoming so. So if you look at leadership from the root, if you look at leadership from the ethical perspectives, you find that there are quite a number of problems we could have solved in our businesses, in our careers, and as a nation, if we were to conduct ourselves ethically. Okay, if we were to conduct ourselves ethically. For those of us that stay in Abuja, let me use Abuja mass transit as a case study. You know, Nigerians, or some Nigerians, let me not say Nigerians generally, some Nigerians say that the best president we've ever experienced is the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. And to some extent, I agree. Because one of the things that Umaru Musa Yar'Adua did was social interest. He paid attention to the needs of the people. Now, for those of us that live in Abuja, there was a time in Abuja we have this mass transit, Abuja mass transit. Now, it exists, almost gone. But in the days of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, through the days that we had verified the introduction of the mass transit, you were not too much concerned about how much it's going to cost you to come to job or to come to work, because there was a mass transit, there was a location you're going to get to, you pick a ticket, very affordable, and you're on your way to work. From Kubwa, from Maraba Nyanya, from Kuje, from Gwagwalada, from every part of Abuja. Now, in Abuja, as it were, transportation is highly privatized. So some of the mass transit that still exist, you still see maybe places that the private people are going for 400. The mass transit could go for 100 naira or 150. Just imagine the difference. Now, if our government was to pay attention to the social needs, that's pay attention to sustainability. That's what I'm talking about now. Put up ethical behaviors that will address sustainability issues. We have one of the best experiences in leadership ever. Now, to you as a consultant, the challenge is that you and I, we are the ones consulting for government. Do you get what I just said now? You and I, we are the ones. If you've not found yourself consulting for government, just know that one day you will get there. Okay? Now, the truth is you and I, we are the ones consulting for government. I took a case study yesterday, or I took a time out to think things out yesterday. I said, if we're actually to put everything, in fact, the most basic things in order in Nigeria, we might not need to borrow a dime from any country. And I'm talking with respect to other countries who might also have the time to think through their own leadership perspective ethically. So as a consultant, you must understand your role in promoting ethical consulting and in driving sustainability. Now, moving forward, let's have a quick reminder of what consulting is all about. Consulting involves providing expert advice and guidance to organizations or individuals to help them address specific challenges, make informed decisions, or achieve desired outcomes. Consultants bring external expertise to analyze, strategize, and implement solutions tailored to clients' needs, tailored to meeting clients' needs. So if you are a consultant, these are just the things you do. Okay, these are just primary to our assignment as consultants. Now, let's quickly look at ethics in consulting. Ethics in consulting. This refers to moral principles and values that guide the conduct of consultants. It encompasses things like honesty, integrity, transparency, and accountability in all consulting activities, not some consulting activities. Okay, I used to ask this question. If it were to be profitable but unethical, will you pick that consulting engagement? It is unethical, but it is profitable. Will you pick it? Now, this is my own perspective to unethical consulting. If it is unethical, no matter how profitable it is today, it can never be sustainable. If it is unethical, it cannot be sustainable. If it is unethical, it cannot be sustainable. So you don't want to jeopardize the future because of the little gains of today. All the unethical consultants, they don't last. They never last. They start today and end tomorrow. They never have a future. Unethical consultants don't have a future in this consulting industry. Because whether you like it or not, you're dealing with human beings. Whether you're dealing with government, organization, individuals, you're dealing with human beings. And individuals are interested in value. When your relationship with them do no longer produce the expected value, they will look for those that have that value. Don't be a consultant of it today and forget tomorrow. That is where I'm talking about. Not everybody will like this kind of program. It is important we call your attention to this. It's important we call your attention to this. Everyone's attention must be drafted to this. And of course, I'll be expecting questions after this. I'll be expecting questions after this. Okay, ethical consulting involves providing expert advice and solutions to clients while adhering to a set of moral principles and values. It encompasses transparency, integrity, accountability in all consulting. In Nigeria, we have what we call Nigerian Code of Governance, Corporate Governance, Code of Corporate Governance, NCCG, Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. I will encourage everyone here to pick a copy of it. As a consultant that want to be ethical, pick a copy of it. You will understand what ethics is, what government expects you to have as ethics, and what the international community also expects you to have as ethics as a consultant. Okay, so pick a copy of it and then read. Maybe for your own country, you may want to search for your own country's corporate governance. I know UK, they have their own corporate governance. Ghana, they have their own corporate governance, and every other country has. And then for us in Nigeria, we also have ours. Okay. Now, why do you want to engage in ethical consulting? Number one, client trust. Remember, I said that consulting without the future in view has negative impact on you. Consulting without the future in view has a negative impact on whoever there is engaging in such kind of consulting adventure. So if you want to gain client trust, consult with the future in view. Consult with what? With the future in view. Ethical behaviors fosters trust between the consultants and the clients. So they do business with you today and they find out that you're ethical, you're reliable, you're trustworthy. And then they want to do with you tomorrow, they want to do with you next tomorrow, and they continue like that. Okay? A trust of 100,000 naira can, if well managed, can bring you a business of 1 million. If well managed, can bring you a business of 5 million, a business of 20 million, 100 million, till you talk about billions. But if a trust of 50,000 naira is mismanaged, how do you expect to have a trust of 500,000? You know, some of us act very funny when it comes to management of finance. It is so funny, so funny. Even in our own personal lives, we act in ways that are very, very unethical. And I'm going to give you an instance. If you're in this class and you've called somebody before and you told the person, please, can I get 5,000 naira from you? I will get it back to you before the close of business. And it's 5 years. In fact, even if it's more than 24 hours and you've not gotten it back, just know that you are burying that trust. You are burying the trust. You are burying the trust. Don't bury your trust don't bury your business because of lack of trust. Another importance of ethics in consulting is long-term relationship. I've already established that. Then you have industry reputation. Industry reputation. See, making of sales does not mean that you will do it at the detriment of your client and do it at the detriment of your business. Some of us agree to everything just because we want to make sales. Just because we want to make sales, we agree to everything. And then by the time we can meet up to those things, we now begin to stand on the defense. Okay, we'll begin to stand on the defense. And then by the time you know it, your reputation keeps dropping. And within the industry, the person will soon leave the industry. But with good ethics in business, you keep building reputation, keep building reputation, keep building reputation. Now, let me tell you something. Reputation is something we build in progression. You don't just come to the point and you say you are now the most reputable person. No, you never get to the point of becoming the most reputable. Your industry can give you that, but you keep building reputation. You keep engaging activities that will keep building your reputation. Do you know why? Reputation is a function of how much you've been able to satisfy the standards. And one thing about standards is that standards keep improving. Standards keep improving. Standards keep improving. The other day, they went for climate conference, the COP28 program. Okay, so the kind of sustainability or ethics required for driving sustainability in the climate dimension, it keeps improving. All right. Now, another dimension of why ethics is important in consulting is risk mitigation, minimizing legal and reputational risk associated with unethical conduct. I was reading, or perhaps I was watching a clips yesterday. I don't know how many of us have come across that clips. In recent times, I've been asking the question, why do banks need to keep your account and say it is dormant? For instance, an account that you've been putting money in, just because you're not withdrawing from it. And then when you go to withdraw from the account, they now tell you it's dormant. It's not dormant when you want to deposit, but when you want to withdraw, they now say it's dormant. And although it seems as though there is a legal framework that supports that, government supports that, but I consider that as unethical. Why would you collect customers' money? You know that this account is dormant and you keep collecting money. Then when they now need to collect back their money, you now tell them that this is dormant, you can't withdraw. And then when they now want to activate it, you start giving them 100 provisions, things. You keep giving them standards beyond what they want to have their time and start working out. That is one. Secondly, I heard of a case yesterday, and it wasn't just a funny case. This is a case of up to 5 persons reporting about banking issues. Banks or persons from banks conniving with security personnel who in turn connive with the judiciary to loot people's money or to take away people's money. Now, this was what the story said. Now, the story said that it was a lawyer narrating this case. This lawyer said one of his clients, the man went to bank to withdraw his money, and they told him that there is a ban on his account not to withdraw. And the ban came from a court, or the ban came from the police. And this ban was instructed, there was a court order to the police to place a ban on his account. And he tried finding out what really was the problem. Why would you place a ban on my account? Police never gave me any invitation. Court never gave me any notice of ban. And bank never notified me of anything. So why would you place a ban on my account? And this lasted for months till he had to go sue the bank to court, and then copied the police and the court where this particular, that gave the particular injunction. And then at the end of the day, it was noted that the particular injunction that the court gave, the account number on that particular injunction wasn't this person's account number, but the ban was placed on his account number because he had money on the account. Now, the case was brought to Abuja, and I think it was a higher court in Abuja. And then the higher court gave an injunction for them to lift the ban on the account. On lifting the ban, they removed 20 million naira from the account. Now, first, the injunction is not on this person's account. Secondly, the court had given you an injunction to lift this, yet you went ahead to remove 20 million naira from his account. And then when they made inquiry and said, why was this so? He said the police gave an order that this money should be transferred to so account. For what exactly? I never had This person never had any transaction to do with the police, and nobody reported him to the police. So why is the police taking interest in his account? And why is the bank collaborating with them? Now, why I'm talking about this is because these kind of behaviors are unethical. If the person decides to sue the bank for all of this, the bank will pay heavily for it. The bank will pay heavily for it. So to avoid paying undue fines and levies and paying for claims, it's better you act ethically. Okay, it's better you act ethically. Still on why we need ethics in consulting for positive impact on brand and reputation, legal and regulatory compliance, and contributing to culture of integrity within the industry. Now, consulting ethical codes, this is for every one of us to pay attention. Primarily, the consultant has three legs. You have the area of character, you have the area of capacity, and you have the area of competence. Those are the three legs of a consultant. You have character, you have capacity, and you have competence. Now, when it comes to ethical codes, you have the integrity, objectivity, professional competence, confidentiality, behavioral, professional behavior. These are the things we expect you to have as a consultant. Okay? These are the things we expect you to have as a consultant. These are the things we expect you to have as a consultant. Now, for integrity, upholding honesty and truthfulness in interactions. Objectivity, providing impartial and unbiased advice. Professional competence, maintaining a high level of expertise and knowledge. Confidentiality, respecting and safeguarding client information. Recently, something happened. One of our service providers, because they have access to our information, I just opened our email one of the days, just last week, and I saw account opening, 2 banks or 3 banks opening an account for us. I was like, we didn't order for you. I don't even know the location of those banks. So how come you people opened an account for us without our notice? Who gave you the permission? And then in trying to find that, I found out that it was one of our service providers that gave out our information to the banks. And because of the kind of services they provide, we've already signed some agreements. They use those agreements as though we are giving them the permission to open an account on our behalf. And that was very illegal. And I wrote to those people, I gave them 24 hours. I said, if you don't revert this in 24 hours, you'll be sure to meet us in court. Because divulging of our information without our consent was illegal. It was unethical. Thank God for them, because they had to close those accounts immediately. Okay? And we actually have to pay attention to our businesses and pay attention to how we advise businesses that we consult for. I'm sure there was someone in that particular organization now that came up with that idea and said, okay, we can partner with this with so banks. We open account for our customers, and then we get commission for the account. Who does that? So we need to learn how to manage confidentiality. Okay, for the fact that they did that, we became skeptical of the fact that, are we sure that our information, and they have bulk of our information, So how are we sure that they can do more to safeguard our information? As it were, we are beginning to move some of the information we have with them to another party so that we are sure. Okay, and some of us also find ourselves doing that. You did a business with someone, that you have somebody's contact does not mean you are to transfer it or share it with others. You need people's consent to share their information. That you have a company's email address does not mean you now begin to share it with other consultants of yours. No, you need consent. There's what we call consent. You need consent to share people's information, because you don't know how private those information are to those persons or organizations. Very, very important. They have the professional behavior, adhering to ethical standards in all professional interactions. all professional interaction. I'm going to ask a question. Now, let's assume as a consultant, you just submitted the proposal to an organization, and the organization tells you, oh, sorry, we already have consultants that are taking care of this for us. Okay. Now, if you were to go further in marketing your organization for them to put you as part of the consultant, what will you tell them? Looking at professional behavior now, you have just submitted the proposal to an organization and they say, sorry, we already have consultants handling this for us. And you really want to work with these organizations and you are given the opportunity to market to them. What will you tell them? What will you tell them so that they will consider you? That question, put it at the back of your mind and make sure you ruminate over it. Now, sustainability in consulting. Sustainability in consulting involves integrating environmental, social, and economic considerations into consulting process. It aims to create long-term value for clients while minimizing negative impacts on the planet and society. The three pillars of sustainability will have the environmental, we have the social, we have the economic. Environmental, minimizing the ecological impact and promoting eco-friendly practices. And the social, addressing social issues and contributing to community well-being. There are so many of us that no matter what we do, no matter the kind of money that comes to us as individuals, we never contribute to the welfare of the society where we belong to. Never, not in scholarship, not in alms giving, not in employment. You're just there occupying space. There is no impact from you to the society. That is not too good. That is not too good. In fact, as a business person, think of how can I contribute to national development? As a consultant, how can I contribute to national development? One of the things that keep driving us, you see us do programs every now and then, and most of our programs are free. We just ask ourselves that question, how do we contribute to national development? How do the things we have, how can we use it to contribute to national development? One of our trainees came all the way from Lagos to visit us in Abuja. Was it last week or about 3 weeks ago? And he said something to me. He has fleet of businesses now running in Lagos. And he told me something. He said, sir, the training I attended, the first training he ever attended with us was in 2017. And he said since that 2017, he had never bothered looking for a job because he was almost giving up on life. Job was not coming, money was not coming, and was almost giving up. And then he attended that training. I think it was a 3 days or 5 days training. After which he went in, did an evaluation of himself, what he can do. And then he started a business. First, he started a shoe company. He started producing shoes, started selling shoes to schools, customizing shoes. And then at some point, he got businesses from government and was doing shoes, security shoes for security agencies in Nigeria. In fact, he told me that there was a particular contract that he got that ran into hundreds of millions. But that was someone who could have given up. So when we do the things we do, we might not have all the financial returns, but the truth is that we are contributing to national development. And the truth is that we are not just doing it for Nigeria only, we are doing it all across Africa and the world over. So what is your own contribution to the society, to the environment? You must find a way to make sure that part of your plans as an organization, as a consultant, is to create initiative that will contribute to your community, your immediate community, into the society, and to the national development at large. Then we have the ensuring economic viability and responsible resource use. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important. Now let's move faster. The intersection of ethical consulting and sustainability in consulting. First, we have strategic alignment. When we put ethics in consulting, when we conduct consulting ethically, there is a strategic alignment between the ethical consulting and sustainability. Remember, there is a saying that says you don't eat your cake and have it. If you eat your cake now, don't expect to have it in the future. But ethical consulting tries to drive to the point of how do we make the most use of our cake today so that it can also serve us in the future. That's the strategic alignment, making the most of what we have today so as to serve for the future. And for the fact that we provide expert advice, expert solutions, we must find a way to make sure that our advisory provisions do comply with sustainability provisions. This is very, very important. So for every advice that you want to give, it is going to have an effect on the decision making of the organization or the group of people or persons you're giving your consulting to. So the question you want to ask is, this advisory I'm giving, how would they be able to impute it in their decision so that it makes room for sustainability? That's what you're thinking of. That's what you're going to do. Then in the long-term value, how do you balance economic, social, and environmental factors for sustainable success? These are the intersections of ethical consulting and sustainability. Remember what I said, that without ethical consulting, there will be no sustainability, or without ethics, there will be no sustainability. All right? Very, very important. Now, sustainable consulting practices, project management, supply chain, carbon footprint reduction, and then social responsibility initiatives. Whether we like it or not, consulting engagements are project or projectized. Okay, consulting engagements are project driven. So when you are planning and executing your consulting or your contracts, do you put in ethics that will drive in sustainability? Very, very important. Number two, the supply chain, evaluating and improving the sustainability of the entire supply chain, okay, and the entire value chain as well. Then you have the carbon footprint reduction, implementing strategies to minimize environmental impact of the carbon. Okay, so this is key. This is one of the major issues now, fighting the climate. About that in a bit, talking about how does your organization contribute to, or does your organization have initiatives that contribute to societal well-being? Okay, this is very, very important. This is very, 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 very important. Very, very important and key. All right. Moving forward, now this is where I want us to pay some attention to. Ethical decision models. Ethical decision models. So we have many of them, but I'm going to review just a few. Ethical decision models. Now, these ethical decision models, they ask questions and they answer questions, okay, for you to know whether you're on ethical standards or not. So I have the first one, principle of utility. That's the utilitarianism. The key concept here is to seek the greatest good for the greatest number. The value you're offering. I think the last in the last of the series of what we'll be discussing is value-based consulting. So we're going to also look at the principle of utility. Okay, the principle of utility. Okay. In your consulting adventure, do you provide the highest value for what you're collecting from your clients? So compare what you are collecting versus what you are giving. Are you giving the highest value? 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 This is very, very important. Are you giving the highest value? This is very, very important. Now, the application here is to assess the consequences of actions and choose the options that minimizes overall happiness or well-being. Now, there is what we call the principle of risk reversal. And I consider this as one of the basic ways you can achieve utility when you are when you are creating services or creating goods, and you want to assign values to those things, one of the very good ways to evaluate if your product or if your service has utility commensurate to what you are getting or what you are receiving as value, all right? The value you're giving, if it's commensurate to the value you're receiving, is the principle of risk reversal. What is risk reversal? Risk reversal is primarily to give your customers the privilege to test your product and then confirm to you what value they are willing to give. So you give them that value in such a way that there is no risk associated to it. So let me give you examples of risk reversal. When someone buys a product and you say, if this product does not work the way you want it, return it and then we'll replace it. That's risk reversal. So you are not putting the customer under any form of risk. Rather, you're bearing the risk. You're confident of your product and of your service. And that's why you could tell the customer, I'm giving you this particular product. So if it doesn't serve you the way we have described in terms of benefits and values that you will derive from it, then return it, and then we'll give you back, or we'll change it, or we'll give you back the resources you used in procuring them. That is risk reversal. That customer will have confidence in you and in your product. And if you're able to comply with that kind of model, you get to have a lot of customers coming to buy from you because you're giving them what we call quality assurance. Okay, you're giving them what we call quality assurance. The next principle there is the principle of the right-based ethics. The key concept here is respect and protecting of individuals' rights. Respecting and protecting individuals' rights, which is ethical on itself. Now, when you find yourself in consulting engagement that disrespect and do not protect individual rights, the question is, are you still going to continue with that? What's the application? Consider the impact of decisions on fundamental rights and prioritize actions that uphold individual liberties. Individual liberties. These are some of the models you can apply in taking decisions when it comes to ethical consulting. They have the virtue ethics. The virtue ethics model, the key concept here emphasizes on character and virtue. Remember, I spoke about that. For us in consulting, we have 3 legs. You have the leg of character, which is the number 1. Then you have the leg of capacity, and then you have the leg of competence. The challenge with most consultants is that they have capacity and they have competence, but character is absent. And then they keep asking, why are we not flourishing? Why are we not doing well? Character is the first point of call. It is the first thing that engages a customer. Okay, it is the first thing that engages a customer. And it's the same thing that retains a client. Okay, so the application here, we need to focus on developing and embodying positive character traits such as honesty, integrity, and compassion and decision making. And you know, some of us have this attitude of, I know my right. I know my right. When it comes to consulting, you must know that one of your basic virtues is being selfless. The key person there is your client. I know my right. I know my right is not often what we need in consulting. Consulting is for you to know how to solve the problems. So if it is unethical, if your clients are trying to give you unethical standards, then it is your right to convince them and educate them on why they need to be ethical. But sometimes the things we keep driving, I know my right, I know my right. For instance, you did a consulting for an organization, a consulting engagement that's supposed to last for 5 days, then you ended up doing it for 2 days, and then they are telling you, okay, you didn't complete the engagement, the outcomes we expected, we are not seeing them. Can you come? Let's talk about the financial remuneration. Maybe we should think of other ways of handling this. Say, no, I know my right. I'm not coming. I know my right. I know my right. I'm a consultant. Okay, keep being a consultant. Now you have the deontological ethics. The key concept here is the duty-based ethics. Make sure you serve according to the engagement you're called to do. Make sure you serve according to the engagement you're called to do. Okay, make sure you serve according to the engagement you're called to do. Please let me confirm that every one of us still hearing me. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, kindly type 1 in the chat room. If you can still hear me loud and clear, please kindly type 1 in the chat room. If you can still hear me loud and clear, please kindly type 1 in the chat room. If you can still hear me loud and clear, please kindly type 1 in the chat room. All right, thank you so much. All right. So that's about the deontological ethics. Make sure you're duty bound. Make sure you, as a consultant, make sure you are what? You are duty bound. Sometimes I used to wonder how consultants actually find rest. You collected a consulting engagement, you've collected money, and then you go home to sleep. Meanwhile, you remember that your work as a consultant is projectized, so you are time bound. So why would you be duty bound as well? Okay. All right. The application here is to evaluate the morality of an action based on adherence to universal principles or duties, regardless of the consequences. Then we move on to what we call the four-way test. And the four-way test, the key questions of the four-way test is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Even if you don't want to use all ethical standards, especially in relationship building and thinking of the future, try to use the four-way test in your personal engagements and character building and relationship building with others. Ask these 4 questions. The thing you're doing right now, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Okay. The application here is a set of questions to guide ethical decision-making in various situations. Then we'll have the ethical decision-making framework. The key steps here are to identify the problem or the dilemma, gather relevant information, identify the stakeholders involved in that particular ethical issue, consider the alternative actions, assess consequences and ethical principles, make decisions and take action, reflect on the decision, and learn from the process. The application is a structured process to guide consultants through ethical decision making. So the ethical decision making framework with these steps involved is a structured process to guide us in decision making, ethical decision making. Then you have the TARES test. TARES here is an abbreviation for truthfulness, authenticity, respect, equity, and social responsibility. So every engagement you're going to take, question is truthfulness. How truthful are you, and how truthful is your team? How true, you need to ascertain truthfulness in a dual way. Truthfulness from you as a consultant, and truthfulness from the client. For instance, I just gave an example. Police went, secured court order, and then went and placed a ban on somebody's account who never had any issue with the police, who never had any issue with the bank, who never had any issue with the court. So as a bank, if you were to use the TARES test, you would have asked yourself the question, how truthful is this allegation or this court order? Where is it emanating from? You should be able to do due diligence. You should be able to protect your customer. So truthfulness is case. Then authenticity. How valid is the case against this person that we should place a PND on his account? Then respect. This person in question, you did not even call his attention. You never called it, just for him to go to the bank, and then he was told he couldn't withdraw. And then you moved 20 million out of his account. Talking about equity now. If it were to be done the same way you're doing it to this person, if it were to be done to you the same way, would you consider it as fair and equitable? And then social responsibility. We've spoken about that over and over again. The application evaluates the ethicality of persuasive communication or advertising. Evaluate the ethicality of persuasive communication or advertising. Okay. You know, when it comes to issues of persuasive communication, you should be careful on what your market, the terms you use in your market, you need to be very careful. In fact, you need to make everything clear. You know, sometimes, oftentimes, let me not say sometimes, oftentimes, we get to find ourselves in that condition of buy 4 plots of land and get 1 free. Huh? For those of us in Abuja, you may understand what I'm trying to say. Buy 4 plots of land and get 1 free. And then it's written boldly on the advert. And then you bought 4 plots and expecting 1 free, and then I told you, sorry, terms and conditions apply. Meanwhile, on the flyer they gave you, when they came to radio to advertise, when they were advertising on the television, they never said terms and conditions apply. And then you now ask them, what are the terms and conditions? Okay, so what we mean is that you buy 4 plots, you now get 4 of your friends to buy 4 plots, and then your 4 friends will get 4 friends to buy 4 plots. Okay, before we'll now give you 1 plot. So why didn't you say that from the beginning? Persuasive communication does not mean it is ethical. So any kind of communication we want to put it through the Tarish test. Is it truthful? Is it what you're going to really comply with? Is it going to be an authentic communication? Is it a communication that will respect everyone involved? Is it going to be equitable? Is it going to be socially responsible? Okay, very, very important. Now you have the Porter Boss. The Porter Boss is another kind of ethical decision model. And the Porter Boss, the key steps here are to define the situation, identify the values around the situation. Okay, choose the loyalties and make a decision. Choose the loyalties and make a decision. The application here, an ethical decision-making model focus on public relations and media, emphasizing transparency and values alignment. This material, when you get across to it, please take your time, go through it. As we are streaming here now, is available on YouTube also. So in case you joined us late, please join us on YouTube as well, and then you can get all of the lectures from beginning to the end. All right, thank you so much. Okay, moving forward, then you have the case-based reasoning. Case-based reasoning. Case-based reasoning. The case-based reasoning, the key concept here is to analyze and apply situations from past ethical cases. Past ethical cases. Past ethical cases. So you use previous cases as yardstick to measure what could be the way forward on current ethical situation. You use previous ethical cases that have been reasoned out, you know. In the 2023 elections in Nigeria, when the court proceedings began, people began to unravel several cases that have been done in the past that had similarities, and they believed ethically this should be the outcome. But unfortunately, that wasn't the outcome. But what I'm trying to portray here is that people, lawyers, even senior advocates of Nigeria that were involved in those cases, they had to go back to cases where Supreme Court had ruled on similar cases. They had to go back to cases where Appeal Court had ruled on similar cases. They had to go back on previous cases where Tribunal had ruled on similar cases. And they all thought it would come out that way, but it came out in ways, different ways. Okay, in some cases, it came out as were predetermined or pre-reasoned by previous cases. In some other cases, there were deviants. Okay, that's just an example of case-based reasoning. Putting ethics into perspective, you review them. Then you have application, learning from historical cases to inform ethical decision-making in current scenarios. Now, rounding up, let's look at tools for ethical decision-making. Tools for ethical decision-making. Tools for ethical decision-making. You have the ethics checklist, the simple checklist that guide consultant through key ethical considerations during decision-making process. There was one consultant I once met, and then before we could do 1 or 2 business together, he gave me a list of his ethical standards. His list of ethical standards, and I had to read all and consent before I could continue doing business with him. So you too, as a consultant, could have your ethical checklist. There are things you must not do. 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 You must have standards. You must have standards. You must have standards. You must have standards. I remember when we were going into the public consulting, when we were venturing into public consulting, a whole lot of people told us, if you're not ready to compromise, then be sure that you will never get any business. Okay. For Rivers was the case. We were getting businesses and we are still getting businesses without compromising. So you need to have your ethical checklist. Okay. You have to have your ethical checklist. Now, let me tell you something also. There is one we say that for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It is possible that some of us that are facing ethical issues is because we have ethical challenges within us first. So if you have ethical challenges within, there's possibility of ethical challenges without. Okay. If you have ethical challenges within, then there are possibilities of ethical challenges without. You must first of all settle the concept of ethics within. Okay. Don't just go out there and say everybody is compromising. No, it's not everybody's compromising. Don't put up assertions that now become reality. Don't put up assertions that because they've beclouded your mind, they now turn out to become realities. No, you must deal with the concept of ethics first within you. Raise your own standards. And please, when you're raising your own standards, use corporate governance standards. What is generally acceptable? Okay, what is generally acceptable? I will, by the end of this session, we'll also come to the place of diplomacy in consulting. The place of diplomacy in consulting. The place of compromising in consulting. We'll talk about them. Okay, but not on deviation from standards, not on deviation from ethics. Now, let me give you an instance of diplomacy in consulting. Let's take management development, for instance. Now, let's assume that you have been given a consulting adventure, management development adventure, to train board directors of an organization. And then you were given a particular amount of money to train maybe 20 of them or 25 of them. Okay. And then the head of the organization now calls you and says, please, oh, I'm so sorry. We are supposed to be 20, okay, it's supposed to be 25, right? Your budget covered for 25. And then I came to you and said, please, we are so sorry. We actually discovered that there are 2 people that were excluded from the budget, and we don't have any other budget to accommodate them. Can you please accommodate them for us? This is within your jurisprudence, and that's okay, I will or I will not. But common sense tells you that these people that gave you 25, it is not too bad to, out of your profit, help them with 2 persons. That's part of social responsibility. Now, another consideration could be that you were supposed to have an engagement, maybe let's say 5 days. And then there are contingencies that comes up from the organization that makes it obvious that we can't go beyond 3 days. It's supposed to be for 5 days. Your schedule is for 5 days. But now the organization calls you and says, okay, we can't do more than 5 days. We can't do more than 3 days. How will you help us? How can we rework this? That is where compromise comes to play. That is where diplomacy comes to play. That is, you are not breaking ethical codes here. Rather, you are finding a balance to make sure that you meet their needs without actually breaking ethical codes. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. Okay, then you have the next one there, the ethical decision-making models. Okay, so we've discussed a whole lot of them. You can find the one that best suits you. You see the principle of utility, right-based, virtue, or the Porter, or the Tares, whichever one that suits you, your ethical decision models, find a way to use them. They have the 4-way test. We've also talked about the 4-way test, a set of questions developed by the Rotary Club International that encourages individuals to assess the truth, fairness, goodwill, and benefit in decision making. Then you have the ethical impact assessment, a structured assessment that evaluates the potential ethical implications of a decision on stakeholders, both internally and externally. Remember that one of the importance of ethical consulting is to promote sustainability. That is one of the primary importance of ethical consulting. So when you're conducting ethical impact analysis or ethical impact assessment, for every ethical inclusion, what is the future? What is the future implication of that? For every behavioral introduction, what is the future implication of that? Okay, this is very, very important. They have the stakeholder analysis, okay, still to help you make better ethical decisions. And they have the decision matrix with ethical criteria, a matrix that combines traditional decision making criteria with ethical considerations to objectively evaluate options. Then you have the ethics training programs. This is also one of the ways to drive ethics as consultants, as individuals, as an organization. Okay, you introduce ethical trainings. Okay, ethical trainings. Then balancing stakeholder interests. This is also very, very important. Part of that is truthfulness, authenticity, respect, equity, and social responsibility. Now, the equity, decisions should be done in such a way that it is fair to all. It is considered fair to all. So when you're taking decisions, ethical decisions, it should be done in a way that it should be fair to all. God. Okay. How many of us remember the G5 governors? The G5 governors during the during the 2023 elections in Nigeria, G5 governors. Okay, so they were part of the G5 governors that were talking as though they were talking for others. Meanwhile, they were talking for themselves. Okay, at the end of the day, someone from the G5 governors that was almost getting the heart of people. Now, I don't know what to call such kind of things, but I don't think there was balancing of stakeholders. Some people involved in those G5 mess were messed up real time. Their political careers at this point have been stagnated because of the affiliations they had with other stakeholders. So we need to be very careful when balancing stakeholder interests. Then the case studies and scenario analysis. We've talked about the case study, case-based ethical decisions and the likes. The technology-assisted tools, we can also use things like the AI tools to make decisions. The AI tools to make decisions. Then we have the codes of conduct and guidelines. This is like the one we have primarily in organizations. Every organization has codes of conduct and guidelines. If you don't have it, please make sure you do have it, because it becomes the guiding principle of what is considered morality within an organization. Okay, and how behavior should be dispensed within an organization. Then we have the ethics hotline or reporting mechanism. This is also one of the basic ways to make sure that decisions are done ethically. When you have whistleblowing, some call it whistleblowing, you have ethics hotline. When there are deviations from ethics, there should be official channels of reporting for reprisals. Then you have continuous feedback mechanisms. This is also very, very important. Now, in rounding up this section, we have challenges in implementing ethical and sustainable consulting. Number one, you have client resistance. This sometimes could be the case that your clients don't want to, they don't want to go ethically. They want to go unethical way. Okay, this could form a challenge to you as a consultant. And then you have cost implications of running ethical consulting. Okay, cost implication of inculcating sustainability in your consulting adventure could also become a challenge. Okay, then you have lack of awareness. Most people are not aware. Now, for those of us consultants in Nigeria that take up consulting where they will say, okay, we'll pay you 50 million, 15 million is our own, 35 million is your own. Please be careful. There is what we call SCUM-L of EFCC. If you've not attended that training before, you need to attend it. If you ever attend SCUM-L training on money laundering issues, you will never agree to use your account to pass money that you will not use. If you ever attend ICPC training, Independent Corrupt, what do you call it? ICPC, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission of Nigeria. If you ever attend their training, you will never accept to tell someone. You will rather tell them, okay, if you want to take the 50 million, take it from source. Don't even put it as part of my this thing, okay? However, is there a possibility that you can run a business in such? Yes. Now, in consulting, there's what we call facilitation. Please listen to me. There's what we call facilitation. Now, if you are to run a business, is that you call it facilitation, or you call it agency fee, or you call it lobbying, dependent on what term is most acceptable in your own environment. Now, whether you call it agency fee, or you call it facilitation fee, or you call it lobbying, or you call it consulting fee, all answer for the same thing. All answer for the same thing. Now, if you are doing a business with an agency or with a ministry or with a department or with government or anybody, and they say, okay, the head of department or someone who has the right to decide on who gives who the contract is being given to, and says, okay, we are taking 20% of this thing. It is for you to work the 20%, work in that 20% into your budget. Work in the 20% as facilitation fee or consultation fee or whichever fee or whatever it is most acceptable. Okay, within that, the confines of what you're doing. Okay, you work it into your budget. I hope you're understanding me. Okay, because it is left for you to educate your client where they don't know. Because your client will tell you, this money, I will only collect it when it comes to you. And whatever money you cannot account for is considered to be money that have been laundered, according to EFCC and ICPC. So if you don't want to find yourself in that situation, then make sure that your budget covers every aspect of whatever thing you are dealing with. All right? This is very, very important. This is very, very important. And that is also part of diplomacy. Then another one is, another part of the challenges is the greenwashing concerns. The greenwashing concerns, the risk of superficially adopting sustainability measures without meaningful impact. This is called greenwashing concerns. On paper, it is written. Every aspect of the organization, you see signposts showing that, yes, we are driving sustainability, we are driving ethics. But when you come to the culture of the organization, it's not there. It's not there. It's not there. When you go to several ministries in Nigeria now, you will see them put ISO certifications, ISO quality certification, total quality management. Everything written there. You don't see anyone, you don't see a glimpse of anyone. Part of quality certification is a proof of customer satisfaction. How many of us go to public agencies and you get satisfaction? How many of us go there and your needs are actually treated the way you came for it? I remember once I went to a particular ministry. I've been calling this their number. The number is not connecting. And then I got there. From the door, they say I should call their customer line. I say, which line are you talking about? Is it the one I've been calling for how many weeks? And it's not going through. Do you know what happened? When I eventually got into that office and I asked them, where is this line? When they stooped down and brought that particular phone from where it was hidden. It was very dusty, uncharged, not on, like it has never been used. But on the papers and all of the things they draft around, they tell you ISO certification. And ISO certification is stated that, okay, we meet customers' needs. We are attentive to customers' needs. We promote customer satisfaction, but it's not there. Okay? Some of us, right, will promote corporate social responsibility, but it's not there. So let's stop greenwashing on these things and face the real truth. There are the complex global regulations. Yes, there could be certain deviations ethically, okay, certain deviations ethically, but we must, as consultants, try to create points of convergence. And that's why we have international conventions. By the time we have international conventions, we have we come up with regulations and ethical standards that govern us globally. Okay, all right. Now, what are the solutions and strategies to dealing with these challenges? You have the client education. I've talked about it. Educate your clients on how to do these things. Cost-benefit analysis. Conduct a thorough cost-benefit analysis to demonstrate the economic advantages of sustainable initiatives. Stakeholder engagement. Engage your stakeholders at all levels when you are taking ethical decisions, when you're conducting when you're conducting your consulting engagements. Then transparency and reporting. This is number one on the international scale. Transparency and reporting. Anything you do must be reported and done transparently. Global compliance framework. Establish a comprehensive compliance framework that addresses global regulations, ensuring ethical and sustainability practices are consistent across regions. They incentivize ethical behavior. This is also very important. Now, how do you incentivize ethical behavior? I just gave an example. Instead of you going to a consulting engagement and they tell you 20% is our own, but don't put it, it is not going to be included, or it's not going to be included as that we received it. Now, what you simply do is make provision in your consulting budget for what we call facilitation or agency or consultation fee, whatever thing you want to call it, okay? And then you put a particular amount to it that will cover for the stakeholders' need. Those people that are now your stakeholders, make sure you get to be part of that. But remember that you have to guide them with these standards, okay? You have to guide them with these standards. For instance, your budget is 50 million and somebody is telling you to add an extra 50 million. You have to put up some defense to guide them. Okay, put up some defense to guide them, or education to guide them. And somebody will say, what the public people, how do you guide them? Well, like I said, it's not all engagement you will take. The ones that will implicate you in the future. Somebody told me yesterday, this is somebody that has worked for since the time of Goodluck Jonathan. They've worked from Goodluck, he came to Buhari. Now in this era, they said ICPC and EFCC are against him. Why? Because of some audits they were doing on some contractors, and some contractors couldn't account for some money, and they said those money were paid to this person, and now they are calling the person to come and defend. This person served as a top government official, but now he's coming out. So please guide your work professionally to avoid future repercussions, negative repercussions. This is very, very important. Solutions and strategies continue. Then you can engage collaborations and partnerships. It's very, very important. Continuous monitoring and improvement of your ethical framework. Training programs can also help you. Then strategic integrations, integrating ethical and sustainable considerations into core business strategies rather than treating them as separate initiatives. Now, in conclusion, addressing the challenges of ethical and sustainable consulting requires a multifaceted approach, combining education, collaboration, and strategic integration. By navigating these challenges, organizations can unlock the long-term benefits of responsible and sustainable business practices. These tools and frameworks discussed here provide us the tools and framework discussed here provide us consultants with valuable resources to navigate ethical complexities, make informed decisions, and contribute to a culture of integrity within the consulting profession. They are adaptable to various contexts, promoting ethical practices in diverse consulting scenarios. Thank you so much for your time, and I believe you've learned something in this work. Okay, so now let me take some questions, and then we'll call it a timeout. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be handing over to Damilola to coordinate the question and answer sections. Dami, please, over to you. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, and then Dami will unmute you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Banito. I mean, this is so informative and educative as well. I strongly believe that most of the people that joined late, they will also have something to take home. But this time we need to quickly take up questions so we can proceed to another thing. Please, if you have any question, kindly raise your hand and you can unmute from your hand. Or better still, I will call you, mention your name to unmute your mic to speak up. And if you're having difficulties with your environment or whatever, you can type your question in the chat room. Please, if you have any question, kindly raise your hand while we take your question immediately. Anybody question? All right, it will be so funny if we do not have any question. I mean, this is almost 1 hour, 30 minutes class. And it's expected that we should ask question, or you want to share experience concerning what Dr. Banito just dealt with now. Please kindly, okay, somebody is asking question, can we get a recording? Of course, you will. If you request for the certificates, those questions will be answered later on. But if you have any question regards to what has been taught now, kindly raise your hand. Please, do we have anybody that wants to ask question or you want to share your experience concerning ethical consulting and sustainability? Okay, lastly, okay, somebody is raising his hand. Okay, Mr. Ridwan, kindly unmute from your hand and proceed with your question, sir. Mr. Ridwan, can you hear me? Kindly proceed from your hand, unmute your mic and ask your question. Okay, he asked to type the question. Go ahead, sir, please. You can type out the question. Why I will read it out to Dr. Banito. Okay, somebody is asking, what is the certificate fee? All right, this will be explained before we wrap it up. Just hold on. Stay tuned. We will explain those things very soon. All right, please, we are waiting for you, sir, to type your question. All right, so while Mr. Ridwan is typing out his question, if you have somebody else that wants to ask question, maybe clarity, more information, or any concern. All right, nobody asked for attendance list anyway, but from our end, we're able to track some people that joined on time and some people that joined late in case. We don't want issue like other time when somebody said they attended class, but they said they are not eligible because they did not stay for a long time. But subsequently, we provide attendance for people to fail, because that part is very important for us as well. So we'll be able to track record of those that participated fully. Okay, so this is the question, sir. I was asked to promote the vaccine among the Black heritage communities in Oxfordshire, but the problem is that Black communities don't have trust in government. How do I convince the people? I was asked to promote the vaccine among the Black heritage communities in Oxfordshire, but the problem is that Black communities don't have trust in government. How do I convince the people? That's the question, Dr. Banito. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ridwan, for your question. You were asked to promote a vaccine in Oxfordshire, but the problem is that the people don't have confidence in government. There must have been some unethical things government have done sustainably that make the people to lose trust in them. There must have been some things that government have done sustainably that make unethical behavior that government put up that made the people not to have trust in them. Now, you may also need to have evidence. What you need now is evidence-based promotion. What do I mean by evidence-based promotion? Evidence-based promotion, number one, on the people that the Black communities can trust. You remember we talked about collaborations and partnerships. Now that you cannot do it just on your own, you need to find people within the Black community that have influence and that the Black community can trust, okay, to collaborate with him or her or with them to be able to promote such. But before you start promoting, make sure that there are people who have also from within the Black community, you've convinced them to take the vaccine and the vaccines don't have side effects on them. So the testimony of those will become also evident. So you can add testimonial marketing to your promotion, and then that is part of the evidence. Then you use influence-based marketing too. That's finding someone within the Black communities that have influence towards the people. And then part of collaboration, remember corporate social responsibility, right? So it is you getting down to the grassroots now. So do they have social gatherings? Do they have churches? Do they have mosques? Do they have clubs where they really come, they interact? Do they have people where they go to and they listen to those people? You may have to collaborate with those people. But to convince those people, you must be sure of the authenticity. Remember the TARES test. Remember the TARES test. Truthfulness, authenticity, respectful, equity, and social responsibility. Put down your vaccine through the TARES test. If it passes the TARES test, then go and discuss with these people I've just mentioned. This is just my own view, my own counsel, okay? Number one, you can use testimony-based promotion. That's people within the Black community who have taken the vaccine and they can confirm that yes, this vaccine is needed. Then number two, use of people within the Black community that can influence the Black community to go into that. Number three, go down to the social levels, to the churches, to the mosques, to their gatherings, okay? Convince the leaders in those areas to partner with you in distributing such. Okay, these are just my own little contribution. I don't know if any other person has any other thing to add to that. If you have something to add to Ridwan, you can unmute and add. But I have just 5 minutes to round up. We just have 5 minutes to round up. Our class is supposed to end by 1, and thank God we are still within schedule. We have 5 minutes to round up. Please, Dami, any other question?
All right. I think at this juncture, there's no more question. Or if we have any other person that wants to ask a question, aside the clarity we spoke about earlier about the certification, the fee, and some other necessary information that we need to know. I think you should just proceed, Dr. Banito, please.
Okay, so before I proceed, let me quickly one more time recognize the presence of our Alumni Board President, Mr. Femi Ganduno. You are highly welcome, sir. And our Vice President, Dr. Ifome Eze. You're highly welcome, ma. Do we have any other member of the board here? So I highly appreciate your time and for coming to. And for all of our fellows who are present, I want to sincerely appreciate you too. I can see Mr. Ernest Lamte from Ghana. Thank you for joining. I can see Mrs. Omolora Olumuda. Thank you for coming. And Ridwan, all the way from UK, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Sunday Paul, thank you also for joining us. If you are a fellow here, or if you're a member of IPM and maybe you use the name that is not your name and we don't know the name you use now, please forgive us. Okay. All right. So one more time, thanks to everyone for being part of this training. I also want to thank Mr. Andrews Amankwa from Ghana. He's a prospective fellow. So let me thank him in advance. He's a prospective fellow from Ghana. He has been so committed in running series of programs with the Institute this year, and he's on his way to becoming a chartered strategic management consultant this year. So he's doing so well. So thank you so much. Okay. Like I said earlier, this program is meant to be a 5-day program with different sections. And this is also a pre-induction training for all of the people who want to become members of IPM. If you want to be a member of IPM, then please listen. You are encouraged to take all the 4 classes. Yes, attendance is free. But when you now want to have access to the certificate, now we have 3 levels of, if you want to get the certificate as well as becoming a member. Now you want to become a certified management consultant, please listen. If you want to become a certified management consultant, we have 2 levels to it. You have the associate level, that's if you have less than 10 years experience, work experience, you are qualified to go for certified associate management consultant. That is after attending these 4 lectures. So just holding today and tomorrow and we're done. Now we have the senior level, which is the certified management consultant itself, which is the senior level. That's 11 years and above. You have work experience 11 years and above, and you attend this class also, these classes, this series, you are qualified for the certified management consultant. If you're going for the associate, your fee is 100,000. The 100,000 naira will give you get 2 things. 2 things. You will become, you will have.
Your voice is going down a bit, sir.
Okay. Am I loud enough now?
Clearly, sir.
Okay. So I said, if you're going for the associate membership and the associate management consultant, you get to pay 100,000. Now, if you were to do both independently, associate membership is 100,000. Associate certification is 150,000. But we are giving this discount to anyone who is interested right now. You have both for 100,000. So you have more than 50% discount for each. Okay. Now, if you're going for the senior level, that's you're going for full member. Okay. That's 150,000 for both. So you have your full membership certification, and then you have your certified management consultant certification. So you have 100,000 and you have 150. If you're going for associate, 2 certificates will be given to you. You have your associate membership, and you have your what do you call it? Your associate certification as a management consultant. If you are going for the full membership, you have 150,000 naira covering for what do you call it now? So it's certified management consultant and then the full membership certification. For those of us in Ghana, Mr. Ernest Tete Lamte is our partner representing IPM in Ghana. So when we do the conversions in Ghana cedis, we'll communicate to you in our next lecture. Okay, our next lecture will be delayed. Instead of 2 p.m., we're going to start it by 3 p.m. As for those in Ghana, that will be 2 p.m. For those in Nigeria, that will be 3 p.m. For those outside Nigeria and Ghana, please find the time in your own and join us. Now, if you want to take the certificate, you just want to take certificate of completion. You're not interested in getting the certification, the professional certification, are not interested in membership. Okay, so if you're not interested in any of them, each certificate, each program is for IPM members. Each of them is just a moment, let me get that. Just a moment. I'm sure in the app give you all. Okay, so for IIPM members, you just want the certificate of completion and the materials. You pay 25,000 naira or $50. 25,000 naira or $50. Now, if you're a non-member, you pay 35,000 naira or $75. Now, this is what we're doing. This is supposed to be the cost per training section, but this is what we're doing now. If you want to take the certificate for what do you call it? For ethical consulting and strategy consulting, we are joining the two together, and then you pay either 25,000 or 35,000 naira as an IPM member or non-member. That's for $50 and $75 respectively. Then tomorrow we also have two sections: process and operations consulting and value and total quality management consulting. That certificate also is 25,000 or 35,000, $50 or $75 respectively for members and non-members. This is for those who just want to get the certificate. They are not going for certification, and they are not going for the membership. If you're going for the membership and you want to be inducted into IIPM, you want to be inducted into IPM as a member and the recognized professional, both locally and internationally, associate certification as certified associate management consultant is 100,000. Then certified management consultant senior level is 150,000. For associate level, you need to have an experience of 0 to 10 years. For senior levels, you need to have an experience of 11 years and above. That's for full membership, 11 years and above, right? Okay, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you in the afternoon section. And okay, so thank you so much, Dami. The WhatsApp link, in case you're not in the WhatsApp group, please join us in the WhatsApp group for update. Our next class is on strategy consulting and strategy planning. Please don't miss it for anything. Don't miss it for anything. Don't miss it for anything. And will be available by 3 p.m. Nigerian time. So please join us then, and we'll have a wonderful time. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful time. See you in the next class. Thank you. Please, Dami, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Once again, this is the end for this morning lecture. We'll come back by 3 p.m. And also, we've posted a link in the chat room. I believe that a lot of us, we may not really get all the details Dr. Banito just mentioned earlier. So you can proceed to click on the link and it take you to the chat room. You can ask questions in the chat room or private chats myself or Dr. Banito for more information. And better still, when we come back by 3 p.m., we have more information to share with us. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful time.
Sorry to cut in. I don't think it would be fair if we close this class without having our president and vice president at least say hello to the people. Please.
Oh.
Our president, sir, can you please say a word of welcome to all of our guests, a word to our guests, and then our vice president as well, and then we'll shut down.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's nice to be here once again, and I want to use this opportunity to welcome all those that are joining us. This is the right place to be. I tell you, you won't regret it. I hope you come in. Thank you very much.
All right,
and
thank you so
to
much.
all members, I say good afternoon.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, sir. Okay, please, our Vice President, Ma, can you please say a word before we shut down?
Dr. Ifoma.
Okay, it seems our Vice President is indisposed. All right, thank you so much, everyone. And I think we can call it a timeout from here. Please do enjoy a wonderful time. See you by 3 p.m. Please pay attention to your email and also pay attention to the chat room for updates. See you.